What's up, African superstar family? This is Gina Ifoe, the one and only African superstar. Big shout outs to the family. I want to give a big shout outs to all the customers of the AfricanSuperstar.com. It's scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Please stop by and shop with us. Also, big shout outs to those that are the members only who support our platform on a monthly basis, and they are designated by the circles next to their name. And last but not least, the lovers of the African Superstar Music Project. Guys, please make sure you get your votes in. I have put the link in the community tab. Let me see if I have it with me now. Yes, perfect. I have also put the link here. Please, please, please put your votes in. Okay, if you're saying, "Oh, African Superstar, good luck, good wishes," and you haven't voted, you're not serious. Okay, the votes don't come from thin air, and that's how we actually win the competition, is by outvoting the other contestants. So please, if you want to see me bring the award home for the family, I need you to click this link and go ahead and put your votes in. Big shout out to the African Superstar family. It is Easter Sunday. I'm not celebrating it. I had this thought that I wanted to share with the family, and I haven't been live in a few days, and that is, why do we squander opportunity and then complain afterwards? When I actually think about what is going on here in Africa, at times I get a little sad for some of you out there, because I realize that this is the time, this is the opportunity. You know, I spoke to Sister Yah the other day, and I literally, probably within the last week, I have, forwarded at least 20 people from our platform that have reached out regarding the land. And, she told me some of the conversations that she's having with you all. And I think to myself, it's unfortunate, because some of you will be scrambling at the last minute. Some of you guys will be stuck. Some of you guys will be stranded. Some of you guys will be in bad circumstances. And it's all because opportunity is before you. You're seeing current events. You're seeing military, tensions. You're seeing natural disasters all over the world. You're seeing an increased racial climate. You're seeing violence in schools. You're seeing, all kind of calamities happening around you. And I have to deduce that when you see all these things and you know the outcome of these things, and you don't take strategic actions to protect yourself and your family, then you are complicit, you're stupid, you're in la la land. I mean, because it just doesn't make any sense. And I realize that this is how many humans behave. Okay? This is how many humans behave. Many humans squander opportunity. Okay? It's right there in front of them. Even some cases, you might not be ready for the opportunity when it's right there. But you say, you know what, let me go ahead and put myself in position to not miss any future opportunities, and once I recognize that opportunities on the horizon, I'm going to take advantage of them. Some of you guys just keep on missing opportunities. I want to talk about the COVID lockdown. It's a great example for me. Big shout outs. What's up? T-Bone Slim says, because niggas don't want to do the work. Shout outs to the family. Shoshan is in the building. She says she's going to vote at some point. Well, just make sure you click the link. That's all you got to do. For some of you guys have actually cash apped me funds and stuff, and I purchased the votes on your behalf. For some of you that don't want to use the link or whatever, I'm happy to do that, but obviously I want to win the vote. I want to win this award. So we've got to outvote everybody. We're in the #1 position so far, but that could be changed at any minute. So those of you guys, I have a platform of over 5,000 people. There's no reason why we should get beat out for this award if some of you are doing your share. What's up, Aphrodisiac Villas and Spas? let's go into the COVID lockdowns. Guys, if you're here, make sure you like the stream, support the stream, be a part of the conversation. Now, it's safe to say, I want to say probably as much as like 90% of my platform was caught unaware of the COVID situation, the COVID lockdowns. At the point, even I was still living in the West, many people, really had never thought about a evacuation plan. Okay. If you're someone who's never, up until that point, or maybe even now, you're living in America, you're living in Europe, you're living in Australia, you've literally never thought about an evacuation plan, just let me see a number one. Okay, that's if you have never thought about an evacuation plan. I can even admit and say up until that point, I never had an evacuation plan. I never thought, okay, in a case of an emergency and I need to leave, where will I go? I didn't have, a briefcase full of cash, a fake passport, or any kind of arrangements in the case of an emergency. I would say that it's safe to say that most people living in the West do not have evacuation plans, because we're made to feel that we're safe and secured in those places. If you're living in America, you've literally never had war on your land. So you just live, and you don't think, okay, an evacuation plan. People in other places where war or terrorism attacks happen on a frequent basis, or maybe even natural disasters, they probably have had a concept of, ooh, I need to think about what I'll do in a plan B situation. Or people with a lot of military, conflicts, they got invasions, they got, gang violence and stuff like that in Mexico. But when 2020 came and they closed those borders on me, I was in the UK at the time. Several of my girlfriends, we were all in the West. I had Sister Ya at the time. She was in America. Lady Visionary was with me in the UK. My girl Tawa was with me in the UK. And we were like so sorry. I used to talk to them, all of them probably daily, if not daily, about the situation, and all of us were just like, oh my God, we are stuck. We were not prepared for this. This is crazy. What if we can't get out? How long is this going to last? And specifically in the UK, I can't talk about the lockdown situation in America because I wasn't there. But in the UK, they locked that stuff all the way down. Okay. See, in the UK, they run a very, very tight ship. Okay. They have CCTV, which is, cameras all over the country. It's one of the top surveilled nations in the world. I believe within the top 5. If they want to lock you down, they're going to lock you down. I don't know the perspective of how many people use, for instance, mass transit, but I know that it's a sizable amount. Okay. The trains stopped operating. The national coach stopped operating. The borders were shut. Airlines were not operating a lot of flights going to a lot of destinations. My dear, when I say they locked it down, they locked it down. I remember curfew would be at, I believe, like 7 o'clock, sundown maybe. I literally went out a few times in my hood and looked down the road. There was not a soul to be seen. There was no sound. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm in a lockdown. These people have successfully locked me in. Okay. I remember going to the grocery store. Shout out to any of you guys in the UK. Going to Aldi, going to Tesco. They had queues outside of the grocery store. You know what I mean? 6 feet apart, each one of us. And you had to sit there and queue up to get your food. When all this happened, it was kind of like and I use the term lightly, come to Jesus moment for me. Wake up call, if you would. I realized that, okay, this is like everything else that they do, a test run. Okay, this is, this is not the end. 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 This is not something that's setting the stage for the future of our world. Okay. Once they can shut these borders, once they have effectively got us accustomed to things like this happening, it can become more and more frequent and all of that stuff. I made that decision at that point that, you know what? When these borders open up, I am out. I took my entire lockdown period, which was roughly about 6 months. You know, they locked us down from March of 2020 until September of 2020. Okay. And during that entire time, I was readying myself for when those borders open up. Because, you know, I was of the thinking when the borders open up, it might be a short window. You know what I mean? I don't know what they're going to do. But if that's the case, I need to be able to, when that window opens, go. You know, I started preparing my shipping for Ghana. I started looking for a place to go. I communicated with my landlord like, hey, you know, I don't know exactly when I'm going to go because of this border situation, but when the borders open, I'm going to be leaving. You know what I mean? I prepared, you know, put the monies aside for the ticket. You know, one hindrance was I needed a visa to go to Ghana before I go. So it's not like, oh, buy the ticket and just take off. I actually had to still get my visa sorted out before traveling. So I go and take you down that memory lane because there are some of you, and obviously I wouldn't call names, some of you guys that are still on my platform. During that period, you were telling us all, you know, one of the popular things online was, when the borders open, I'm about to do this. When the borders open, I'm about to do that. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. Oh, I need to do this. I need to do that. Guys, that was 3 good years ago. We're now in April 2023. Since then, you've had stimulus packages, you've had tax returns, you've had, you know, income from your businesses or your job. 3 good years. And you see everything that's happening around you. And you actually normalize the things that are happening around you. You know, some of you guys have normalized the mass shooting. You've normalized the police brutality. You've normalized the racial climate. You've normalized this military demonstration. The currency. You know, I don't really know what all of these things mean. I keep hearing, oh, the dollar is going to fall, the currency is going to change. These things are happening, and you people are sitting there, and I just feel really bad because at the end of the day, I understand. I've lived in America for decades of my life. Okay, lived in the UK for a few years. I understand systematic racism. I understand, you know, being compressed. I understand being, you know, not privy to certain information, not getting a comprehensive education, not being motivated to do for self. And I understand all those things, guys. But at a point when the opportunity is now there, okay, that's what's going to separate the men from the boys. That's when the line of demarcation is drawn, because you can't say anymore, oh, I didn't know, Gina. I didn't know. I didn't know all this was available in the continent. I didn't know there was a place of refuge. I didn't know. You can't say that. Now you are choosing not to save yourself. Okay. There's a reason back in them slave times, okay, even civil rights time and all, you know, historical movements of the past, there were always fewer people ready to implement than those that were ready to complain. Okay. All you Black folks in the West complain about this, complain about that. Hello. You complain about what your kids are learning in school. Some of you guys in America are complaining about school shootings. You guys are complaining about the police and complaining about this and complaining about that. But guess what you don't do? Guess what you don't do? And you know, even sometimes the avenue to solving the problem is not clear cut. It's not time sensitive. You know, it's not like something, okay, I'm moving to Africa next month. No. For many of us, for the majority of us, that's not how it works. But how it does work is by taking those gradual strategic moves to get yourself to the end result at the end of the day. Okay? But I can assure you, if all you do is complain and all you do, some of you guys are in a position to make a move, you know, but you're not making a move for some reason. You're not taking the initiative. I don't know if it's like the self-sabotaging that's in you, but logic is going to tell you, I need to make this move now while I'm in a position to do it before that opportunity gets out of reach. I don't know why our people are like this. You know, it's a victim mentality. It really is. Because once you have the opportunity, I give you the grounds that you don't know sometimes. Okay. Even me was at a point in my life where I didn't know. I literally didn't know. I'd say when I was going to university, I had no concept of what was available to me here on the continent. I didn't know how to escape racism. I didn't know what to do. I was trapped in America, you know, because that was where I was born and raised. And I was told from so many various people that I'm privileged and I'm in the place to be and all this stuff, even though my soul was telling me differently. At that point, I didn't know. Now, at nearly age 40, my 40th birthday's coming up soon. I can't say I don't know anymore. But I'm also not in the position I was when I was ignorant, when I really didn't know. So what's your excuse, guys? You know, all this came up to me today because I saw a myriad of things that made this message come through. I saw, earlier YouTube, I was watching a video about celebrities that commit suicide. And I thought to myself, okay, the proactive approach is the way forward in any facet of life. Waiting until it gets to the end is so dangerous. In many cases, these celebrities bottled up how they felt or were struggling with drug addiction or were depressed or whatever. And they bottled it up until it exploded and they took their life. Okay. Diasporians, we know what's at stake here on the continent in regards to these foreigners coming here. We get lost in the semantics of chat rooms and comments, dumb, stupid videos, going back and forth about this and that and the other. But at the end of the day, the situation is there. We know what's at stake. Okay. It's not for us to be lost on this dumb stuff, but it's for us to actually take strategic action and say, you know what? Okay. We know that the West is coming to occupy the continent, and we want to make sure that we have our position here. So we're going to go ahead and make sure we have our position here. We don't have all the answers. We don't have it all worked out. We don't know the future, but we know enough to know. We know enough to know that this is something that we should take advantage of, i.e. opportunity. Some of you guys legit 10 years from now, when you finally get fed up or when it gets so hostile or whatever, or after you become a victim or whatever, by then, the opportunities that are available to you right here in 2023 is going to be long gone, and you're going to be singing the complaining song about how you shoulda, woulda, coulda. We're adults now, guys. The truth is we have more days behind us than we have in front of us. We shouldn't still be stuck on the trigger of making decisions anymore. Okay? Are things going to get better in the West? According to the track record, what do you think? Have things been getting better or worse in the last, let's say 2 decades? Let's just take 2 decades. So from 2003 to 2023, have things gotten better or worse in America, better or worse in the UK, better or worse in Australia, better or worse in Canada? I can tell you for a fact, definitively, 20 years ago, when I was actually on the yard at UC, School shootings were not a daily occurrence. I can tell you that right now. Neither was police brutality. You know, I could tell you that tensions with Russia were not high back in 2023. I mean, 2003. Okay, I could tell you that, you know, people were not committing suicide en masse the way that they are now. I could tell you that inflation wasn't the way that it is. A lot of things have changed and have changed for the worse, and especially in our case, because the black man and the white man ain't the same. The black woman, the white woman are not the same. Our experiences are not the same. They can live in a bubble in many cases, you know, and not be affected by the outside world because they have that liberty. We don't have that liberty. Why do we squander opportunity when we see it? When we're in position, we say, no, tomorrow. Let me see, let me think about it. And you know, I don't do a lot of complaining, and I also don't entertain a lot of complaining. Don't call me with your problems that you could solve, problems in which I have proposed solutions. After I have literally spent thousands of hours of my own time trying to help you work through these things, trying to motivate you, trying to give you information, okay? Showing you the example, leading the way. I don't want to hear, oh, Gina, well, I can't. Okay, well then I don't know why again you're centralizing around me. Because I'm a solutions-oriented person. I don't want to be in the same position I am today 10 years from now. I want to be forward in 10 years from now. I'm someone who didn't know the opportunities. But once they got afforded to me, I leapt on them. So I told you guys the story of lockdown, which I don't really need to tell you. Okay, because you guys were there. You lived it. When the borders opened, it's needless to say, I moved on to Ghana, just like I said I would do. So as things got more and progressively worse in America, I was able to kind of estrange myself from that because years ago, I was putting myself in position to do that. We squander opportunities, guys. We come with the excuses. Let's see. Here we go. Here's some excuses. Here we go. The alphabet bullies, terrorists, Karens, and gremlins are trying to silence people over the Tennessee. No, this is here we go. Here we go. This is it. That was start. Here's some excuses. I saw them vaguely out of my eyes. African Queen, it's not just getting to Africa. It's what you build there. I'm not talking about building house. Must be bigger than that. Put a business there. Do I have a residence permit? This is what we are so good at. This is what we're so good at. Deflecting, excuses, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, the unknown. You know what the irony is? There are other ethnicities of people that also don't have the answers of the stuff you're talking about. But guess what? They're already over here putting their footprint down on the continent. While we sit back and illuminate all this long laundry list of I don't know and this and that and the other. I want to inform you, I have a residence permit here in Ghana. Okay? I'm not a citizen here in Ghana. Residence permit is very easy to obtain. You go to the immigration office, you fill out the application. I believe it's like 300 CDs, which is probably maybe $30 or something like that. You submit for your residence permit. Okay, it might take a couple weeks to come back. Bam, you have a year of residence. The things that we like to pedestalize as huge obstacles, they're really not that huge. I want to let you know, definitively know that there are currently in effect, thousands of diasporans and other foreigners that are here on the continent navigating it. The issue is not necessarily all the different challenges you may face here in Ghana. The question is, what are you going to do where you're at? The question is, are you safer there than here? Because that's the question that when I asked that question to myself, when I asked myself the question way back 2015, I got my UK passport. The question was, what am I going to do about the situation here in America? I don't feel safe. I don't want to raise a family here. I don't want to make my life here. What is going to be the option? I'm a great example of I don't know the way forward. Hello, I left the US, moved to the UK just to get out of America. It was imperative for me to get out of America. When I moved to the UK, I didn't have a job. I didn't know people there. I didn't have a car. It was my first time living in a foreign country. But all I knew was I need to get up out the US. All I need to know, I'll figure out as I go. Sometimes that's the attitude we need to have on this continent. We don't have all the answers about life here in Africa. Certainly we don't, because we haven't been living here for a very long time. But the attitude needs to be like, A, I need to get myself to safety. B, I don't want to miss these opportunities. And C, I'll figure it out as I go. How many of you guys have children in the chat room? Let me see number 2. How many of you guys in the chat room have children? For those of you guys that are parents, all right, with that first child of yours, you didn't know what the hell you was doing. You didn't know. Every time the baby cried, you were going over to checking on the baby. You were nervous when they went to bed at night. You didn't, you heard all these things about SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. If the baby was coughing after you gave it some something to drink, you didn't know, oh my God, are they choking? There's all kind of instances of people kind of overreacting when they have a newborn because they don't really know what. They don't know what they're doing. They've never had a child before. I say give y'all a good year in, maybe even less than that. You feel so much more confident in your parenting. Okay. You know the difference between a cough because the kid drank water too fast, or they got a cold coming on, or maybe they're choking. You understand, when the baby first falls, when they're trying to walk and you're a new parent, you're like, oh my God, they got a scrape. You're scared, they hurt themselves. After a couple of years, they fall down. You like, hey, get up. Are you okay? Give them a little plaster for their boo-boo and move on. I give this illustration because, again, I believe diasporians are just preoccupied with a lot of nonsense and semantics and, lofty questions. Look, all you need to know in some instances is that this is your opportunity for freedom. If you're one of those people that you feel like the white man was holding you back and America don't want you to be great, you feel like things have been restricted from you, you're pissed off because you didn't learn this in school and you've been lied to, and the American dream is a lie, and now you are seeing there's some kind of tangible opportunity. If all those things that I just listed were real, then that means when the window of opportunity is open and you can now set your own course, you will be on it. That's why I want to give a special shout out to all the diasporians, some of my personal friends. I mentioned a lot of them in the beginning. Sister Yatawo, my girl Lali, Stacy, Ayana, Monica, I'm saying, like, Lady Visionary. A lot of these people, when they identified the opportunity, they didn't delay. They didn't delay. They said, you know what, let me go ahead right now and get this ball rolling. And then just like parenting, you know, the longer you're in it, the more versed you get to be. Some of you, because of these fears that you have and these ignorances that you have and, you know, the questions, you're letting those questions prohibit you from even starting the journey. But starting the journey a lot of times is half the battle. Here we go. Let's go. Here we go. My business is not in Ghana. I chose Kenya. Getting the residence permit is nowhere near as easy as Ghana. Not making excuses. Those governments not helping the diaspora, also cutting corners, will backfire. Guys, is freedom easy? Is freedom easy? That's my question. Sorry, Anas, I got to get on you because you're a prime example of some of the things that drive me crazy here to see all of these things. Is freedom easy to get? Do they want us to be free? Do they want us to come to Africa? Have they ever promoted us in our lives to come here? The answer is no. So guess what? Guess what? There's a lot of uncertainty involved. There's a lot of red tape involved. There's a lot of lack of information involved. Why? Because it's been made difficult for a reason. Please, those of you guys interested in the continent, this is part of what I talk about on our platform all the time. Our mission statement, SMP. Strategy, maturity, and patience. Please count up the cost before you come to Africa. Okay? Count up the cost. Anticipate cultural differences. Anticipate, different languages, different food. Anticipate, a lack of information from continentals about your experience growing up in America. We are very self-centered in the West, in my opinion. Where most of the world learns information about the world, we only learn about America. We only learn about what's happening in our direct vicinity. And so that leads us to think that everybody around the world understands who we are, what we're going through, and all of that stuff. In reality, it's not the case. In reality, Americans are not as highly celebrated as they would like to think that they are. They're not the pinnacle of education or intellect or business that they would like to portray. Actually, people look at us as ignorant, obnoxious, loud, difficult, spoiled. When we're going into foreign lands, we need to understand we're going into foreign lands. They have a way of life. They have a culture. They have a language. They have a community. All right. Transitioning, especially in our adulthood years, is not going to always be easy and smooth. It really depends on you as an individual. It depends on how much you're willing to be open-minded, how much you're willing to learn new things, how you're willing to try to get along with people and acclimate yourself to an environment. All that stuff is your personal choice. But I can tell you definitively, no, I would not say it's an easy thing. But guess what? I would say moving to any other foreign nation in your adulthood is not an easy thing, no matter where you go. Even if you go to England, where they speak English, it's still difficult. It's still different. They have an accent there. The housing there, the food there, the mentality there. It's all different. The weather, migration in itself is not an easy thing. And I wish that my peers would understand that. Okay. Because if you anticipated that, I think some of you guys have this like fantasy of Africa, which I understand a lot of people romanticize it, especially because of the things they're going through wherever they live. So that makes you romanticize it. Okay, once I get to Ghana, everything's going to be easier. Once I move to Tanzania, once I move to Kenya, once I get to Nigeria, and my boyfriend's there, my girlfriend's there, and it's going to be easier. When you get over here, then you start seeing, oh wow, there's different challenges. There's things you never took into consideration because you had no idea that they were a thing. If you are mentally prepared for that, when you start encountering, you're like, oh my goodness, yeah, that's right. This is what Dynast was talking about. This is what African Superstar was talking about. This is what African American Africa is talking about. You know, these are some of those cultural differences. These are the difference in this and that and the other. You know, the fact of the matter is the process easy? No. Is the opportunity, the window of opportunity now? Yes. Will you take advantage or will you cry and complain later? Only you can answer that. Only you can answer that. I can't answer that for you. But, you know, according to human nature, according to history and things like that, usually there's a few that take advantage of the opportunity, and then there's the masses that cry about it later. You know, Black people globally around the world should understand the fight for our homeland because it's the only place that we can have refuge. We don't have refuge in any of these other lands. We are always a foreigner in all these other lands. You know, that's why we need to preserve our homeland for ourselves, because without it, we have zero refuge at all in the world, period. You know, it's not something that needs a lot of deliberation. It's something that is very, very, very obvious. And guess what, guys? If we lose it, can we get it back? If we lose it, you know, are we just going to go to the Americans? Are we just going to go to the British and say, okay, hey guys, I know you guys took over, but you know, we're ready to get our stuff back. Do you see that the Taliban, they had to fight for like 20 years to take back over their country? You know, I respect the Taliban because them dudes would not give up. They were like, no, we're going to fight until we have control of our nation. Okay. Gave the Americans a set time. When that time was up, they booted them right out the country. Okay. When you lose control of whatever, some of you guys may have been hacked. I know there's been a lot of hacking on social media. You lost your Facebook accounts. You've lost your Instagram account. You know, you've gotten basically tricked through the DMs. You've given up your passwords. You've given up this code, and now your account is hacked. Can you just write the hacker and say, hey, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to give you access to my account. Just give it back to me. Hello. All right, let me start with shout outs. What's up, family? Make sure you like the streams. Stop squandering opportunity. That's what my message is. It might be a little harsh for you guys, but I just get tired. I get so tired. I get so tired of all the erroneous complaints and questions. And it's like, you know, by now, you know, the information is now there. So it really boils down to you're not serious. And if you're not serious, that's fine. But wasting my time is something that I'm not going to tolerate. Okay. And once you squander your opportunities and then you want to come and complain in my ear, you know, I remember at a point people used to ask me, oh my gosh, you know, what should we do? What should we do? I don't know what you guys should do over there, because when I was presented with the same option, I bounced. That was the only thing I could come up with. You know what I mean? I couldn't see any grassroots solutions for the dynamics that Black people are facing in these Western countries, because they have no control over there. You know, they are minorities. Okay. They're dealing with a lot of racism, a lot of brainwashing. You know, the system is just totally against them. So I'm just like, the odds are just severely not in your favor. And if you think you're going to use the master's tools to dismantle the house, you're crazy. You think you're going to use the judicial system to turn it against us? Huh? You think voting is going to help. You think prayers are going to help. You think the protest is going to help. Has it been helping? Has it been helping for decades? I heard this funny story on Facebook where there was a Jamaican that now lives here in Ghana. He was taking a taxi ride. And the taxi driver was in there, you know, listening to his Bible sermons and all that stuff. And then he turns to the guy and he says, hey, you know, I would really, you know, you should kind of give me a gift or dash me something, as they say here. And the guy was kind of like, yeah, but ask Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, you bumping that, you know. And I thought about it. I'm like, it's so interesting because we literally can invest decades of our life not requiring any reciprocation for what we put in. You know, at the same time you're sitting there blasting a sermon and you're praising and worshiping, you're going to turn around and ask another person for resources. You're going to turn around and ask them to do this and do that for you. Why can't you ask the person who you're serving? Why can't you ask the person who you spend so much time and effort with? Huh? And if you can't ask that person, why are you still doing it? Why are you still doing it after centuries? You know, that's my question to a lot of, you know, people. You guys know I'm not particularly religious, but my thing is like, what's the benefit? What do we gain besides the ethereal feeling? You know, we feel nice and warm and fuzzy when we leave our churches on Sunday. What can we actually tangibly say, aha, this is the product of blah, 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 blah. You know, many of you out in the West, you wouldn't have to be complaining about life in America if you weren't there. If you were sending your kids to school tomorrow, well, tomorrow's a holiday, but if you were sending your kids to school tomorrow in Kenya or Ethiopia or Zambia or Ghana or Sierra Leone, you wouldn't be worried about a school shooting tomorrow, now would you? You wouldn't be worried about becoming the next hashtag. You wouldn't be worried about mass shootings at the grocery store or wherever you go. You see, we have a potential solution to so many of the problems that we deal with on an everyday basis, but we're going to squander it. And then we're going to complain later. What's up, family? Aphrodisiac Villas and Spas. Please make sure you guys put your votes in for my upcoming award. I'm already claiming it. It's in the chat room. Please make sure you click the link and send me some votes over. If you guys are saying, oh, African Superstar, I wish you well, and you haven't done the votes are like 10 cents a piece, if that much. I don't really know the conversion because I try to look for it online. But in Ghana, they're 60 pesos. So, you know, 60 cents in our money here. So, you know, you could afford, if you want to donate $5 to our platform, like I 5 on it, and you actually buy the votes, you'll get quite a few votes for that. You know what I mean? So show your support if you want outcome. I'm trying to teach you guys, okay? You got to do something to get something. We want to win the award. It's based on votes. We need to have the more votes than all the opponents. Very simple. How do we get the votes? You guys send them. That's how we do it. No prayers or wishes involved. No, you know, I appreciate you guys bigging me up. But if you're not bigging me up without putting in some votes, how are you going to ensure that I'm going to win? So make sure you get your votes in today, guys. Shoshana's in the building. T-Bone Slim is in the building. What's up, Brown Coat Blue? I see you there. Yes. Shoshana says, my husband got stuck outside of America during coronavirus. That's why we put our stuff in a storage and came to join him in Uganda. It was a blessing in disguise. Ah, big shout out to you guys. So, you know, Shoshana was directly affected by the lockdowns. Her husband must have been on travels in Uganda and they shut the borders and he couldn't get back to America. So she moved on over there. But it's kind of like a happily ever after because Shoshana is really flourishing in Uganda. She's really happy about it. So good move for you. That was a power move. Tony Africa's in the building. Anas says, I was in the UK the same time as you were. What you're saying is correct, but I ignored it and still came out and the only people I saw were the rebellious like me. He's talking about the lockdowns and how, you know, in the UK, they locked it all the way down. I remember a friend of mine who lived in London, they had given us like, I believe it was maybe an hour or two to be outdoors each day. And I remember one girl, a friend of mine that lives in London, she said she got a text message saying, you've exceeded your daily, you know, allotment to, you know, for exercise. That's what they left it for. So you could go out, go to the park, go for a jog or whatever. And I literally felt like, wow, this is like Big Brother. You know what I'm saying? Like they're monitoring our every move. The trains aren't working, the buses aren't working, like we have curfew. You know what I mean? It was just like, wow. Like no freedom. You know, and it was a total wake-up call for me. Total wake-up call. What's up, Isesa? I see you there. Big shout outs. Michelle sent some money for, let's check it out. She sent some money for votes. Thanks, Michelle, man. I can always count on her, man. She be coming through. She shops at the website, too. I got pictures of her and her Black Lover Stay Single with her husband. Yes, big shout out to Michelle. Thank you so much, sweetie. Let's see what Michelle said. She sent something. All right, perfect. Michelle sent a 20, so that's going to go for votes because she asked for votes. So, big shout out to Michelle. Thank you so much. What's up, family? Amazing Tribe is in the building. Journey with Us is in the building. Yes. I've gone through some of these questions already. And my second trivia question was, how many of you are parents? And we had several of you guys respond. And I use this analogy to let you know, when you guys had your first child, you didn't know what the hell to do with the kid. You know what I mean? After a few months, you kind of got in the hang of it. By the time 1 year went by, 2 years went by, you were kind of like, you felt kind of, you know, you had more confidence in how to take care of a child. When the second baby came, or maybe the third baby or beyond, you understood a lot more, you know, and a lot of times parents are very careful with that first baby because they don't really know. But as they have more and more children, they get more and more laxed and relaxed with the kids because they're just like, oh, yeah, it's not that big a deal. We can use this analogy and apply it to our life in Africa, okay? For many of us making the transition, it's just like such a colossal thing. We don't have the resources. We don't have the information. There's nobody assisting with our transition. It's literally like, oh, my God. You know, you have questions, and it's like, who do I go to for this? Like, and you can't just ask everybody because everybody's not doing it. It's not like you can just go out to the market and say, hey, when you moved from America to Ghana, what did you do? Well, you know, how did you handle your immigration back in America when you're living here in Ghana? And, you know, these kind of questions, it's not commonplace currently at the moment. So it can be very confusing and worrying for you because you're just like, you know, but the solace I want to offer you is, as you go through it, you get more versed. You know, you get more, you find more answers to the questions that you have, you know, and the anxiety that you have, or the worrying that you have, you know. Next trivia question. For those of you guys that before you ever came to Africa, you were worried because you didn't know anybody. Let me see a number 3. Anybody in the building was like, oh my gosh, I don't know anybody there. You know, am I going to make friends? Am I going to, you know, be alone all the time and stuff like that? Now, for those of you guys that frequent the continent, have spouses here, or now living here, you probably look back at that and think, oh, well, you know, I was worried about knowing people 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you know, 3 trips ago. And now, you know, I'm much more acclimated. As you start to put yourself in position to eliminate some of these concerns and a lot of these ignorances, you get in a better position, you know, and that's what I want to tell you, you know, put your footprint down. Okay. Make the move, make the first step in the right direction. The other things will start falling into place as you start, you know, pursuing the goal. But one thing's for sure, as you sit there and deliberate and do nothing, you're not getting any closer to the goal. You know, you're creating more space between you and the goal. Big shout outs. What's up, family? Fitzroy in the building. Amazing Tribe says Uganda just found $13 trillion worth of gold resources, and just so happens Kamala Harris shows up forcing the alphabet bullies agenda. The U.S. government high key want the gold. Brown Coat Blue says this conversation always makes me think about that old movie In American Tail. You brought it back. Do you guys remember American Tail? It was about the little mouses that were they were immigrant mice. And they were going to America. They like snuck on a boat and they came over to America. And one of the things was there were no cats in America because obviously there were rats and they were worried about getting eaten by the cats, you know. And that's how many Black Americans look at Africa. You know, all your problems are going to be solved here. Everybody's going to be so happy that you're here. You're going to be rich here with $2. You're going to come. You're going to find the love of your life. You know, you're going to live happily ever after. You're going to come here in the first year. You're going to buy land, build a house, find a husband and wife, lose 50 pounds, and become a mogul all in 365. And then when they come here and they realize, oh my God, there's a whole population here in Africa. And matter of fact, I'm nobody. There's real rich people here with mansions and cars and businesses. You know, I got a pot belly. He got 6-packs. Damn. I thought I was coming to Ghana. I thought I was coming to Africa. I thought it was going to be a big deal. So when they get here, that romanticization goes away when they realize, oh, wow, this is not how I thought that it was. And this is why most of us will promote you to come and visit here on the continent before you make the drastic move, you know, or like Anais says, you know, try other countries. Maybe you come and Ghana's not your vibe, but Senegal is your vibe. You know, Nigeria is your vibe. Zambia is your vibe, or Zim is your vibe, you know, whatever. Uganda is your vibe. Kenya. You need to tour and see, oh, wow, this is going to work out more for what I want. And also what you may be interested in doing. Although some of you guys, you don't even know what the hell you want to do. Okay. We on these platforms talk a lot about business and stuff like that. The truth is, a lot of y'all don't know how to do farming. A lot of y'all don't know how to build. A lot of y'all, you've literally never done any of these things in your life. And you don't know. You don't really know. You know, but if you come and you start again taking those steps, then you may be able to discover. When I came to Ghana, I was not a musician. You know, now I'm up for an award. Hello. I perform. I go on the radio. I've dropped several tracks, an EP. I got music videos. None of this stuff existed. None of this stuff was a forethought before I moved to Ghana. I believe firmly that it's a gift from the ancestors of me coming here, you know, being in the place that I need to be in. And then I can actually receive and cultivate those gifts. Some of you guys, once you get here, the opportunities will present themselves. Wow, I could start. I know Sister Ya and I went out to Shy Hills a couple weeks ago with a gentleman named Coach One. He's from Cincinnati. He went to my alma mater, University of Cincinnati, and he was a basketball coach, you know, in Cincinnati. And so when he came here to Ghana, he saw the need in his village. I believe he was around Cape Coast. I believe that's what he told me. And he set up a basketball, you know, camp. And so when he first came to Ghana, he was coming on a visit. You know, he didn't have any idea, oh yeah, I'm going to set up a basketball camp in, you know, Cape Coast or whatever. It's something that illuminated itself to him once he was in motion, once he was already here on a continent. Amazing Tribe says, yeah, are you going to go to China and say, hey, give me my country back? No. Okay, the way to slow down their processes of taking over our nations, we're not military geniuses, we're not in the government, we are sole individuals, is to occupy. That's it. And even some of you guys, hey, you're not in a position. You don't have a lot of money to embark on your building and all that stuff. But if you can secure land, if you're in a position to, hey, let me get that acre, let me get that couple plots right now, and then just keep on trucking at it. And also you have to think in the prospect, guys, because of the world we're living in. Think about a major emergency happening. Okay, let me put that in your mind. I'm not trying to scare you, but it's the reality of the world we're living in. Okay, and how unstable it is. We've seen that for the past 3 years. Just so much stuff, from COVID to lockdowns to all kind of changes, like this transgender stuff. Stuff is just happening so frequently, and it's crazy. So let's just say that Russia decides, what, we're going to attack the US. We got troops in Mexico, we got troops in China. You got 72 hours and we're rolling up in your stuff. What are y'all gonna do? Now, some of y'all that's already got your stuff in position be like, I'm on the first thing smoking out of America. I'm going to go to what I've already been building up, wherever I've been building it up. Those of you guys that are at step 0, what are you going to do? It's something you should think about. It's something you should think about. What about if your money, some of you guys that have savings and stuff, you may have thousands of dollars saved up, or maybe $100,000 saved up, or whatever. What do you want to do if that money suddenly loses value? $40,000 becomes like 10. These are things you need to think about, and they need to motivate you to get your evacuation plan in motion. I take great solace that when I have to go to the West, it's always temporal, and I can get the hell out whenever I need to go. When I start getting fed up with the cold weather in the UK or whatever, it's as simple as getting my ticket and leaving. All the drama in the US, I just have been like avoiding it. Just like, I don't really need to go, and I'm not going right now. I do need to go at the moment, but previously I've just been like, there's no pressing reason for me to be there. But now I'm like, yeah, I need to go pay my family a visit. It's been over a year now. What's up, S.A. Smith? Big shout outs to the family. Please make sure you guys click the link. What's up, Bajin Britt? He says, meanwhile, our politicians were partying and living it up. Big shout outs. What's up? Yeah, okay. I can add you as, since you've requested. Since you've requested. What's up, family? What kind of crazy question is this, Carmen? Stay focused, bro. Stay focused. I'm not getting into that. Brown Coat Blue says, I made a few connections before my first trip years ago. Use the social media, fam. Find who you can vibe with. This was in response to my trivia question for some of you guys that were worried about, oh my gosh, your first trip to Africa, or some of you guys are still worried about it. I don't know anybody. A lot of people are now here on YouTube. So in some cases, when you're traveling to various countries, you can reach out to those people and say, hey, I'm coming. Or some of them operate like diasporan meetups. I believe RJ Mahdi in Senegal does one. I think Juliet does one in the Gambia. Sister Yah was doing them a while here. Now, me personally, I don't do a lot of that. I don't do a lot of that, meetups and all of that. But some other people do, you know what I mean? And so when you get to wherever you're going, you kind of have a point of reference of where to start. I know there are some organizations here in Ghana that do a lot of the diasporan kind of things. Me, I'm more elusive. So, when you come to Ghana, you may not see me. I'm definitely here, but, yeah. Yeah, I actually did a story on this amazing tribe. The passport office is backed up heavy on processing and making passports. ATM Tim says, I just left Africa last month and my mindset is to make as much money in America and get back to Africa before the collapse. And that's a, you know, it makes sense. So guys, that's today's message. It might have been a little hardcore. If I did make comments to you in the chat room, don't get off and cry or be upset or anything like that. It's just a simple fact that this stuff is very important. And we need to be mature to be effective. A lot of mistakes have been made in the past. You know, there are things that our ancestors could have done that could have positioned our generation. It's a fact. But we are now in the moment, and we now need to be effective to prevent some of these things from coming. You know, in 50 years, when we look at our continent and we don't see ourselves in a position of power, in a position of ownership, having lands, you know, our cultures being affected, we will have nobody to blame but ourselves, because this is the time right now where we need to be putting ourselves in position to prevent that from coming in the future. Okay. And once, if we sit here and we miss the opportunity, because, you know, 10 years from now, we'll be like, oh my gosh, I could have bought land in Ghana for $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever. I could have got lands in Senegal or Kenya. I could have did this. I could have got blah, blah, blah. You'll be kicking yourself and saying, oh my gosh, I remember, I just blew it. I wasn't serious. Now, some of you guys, I know you're hustling to make your moves. Means are tight for everybody right now. I understand what's happening in the world. But I would say this message goes more or less to those of you that can make it happen or in the position to make it happen, and you're just kind of dragging your feet. You're going to totally regret not positioning yourself when you could. The same way I say, like, the last big boom that's kind of similar to this was like Bitcoin. Okay. Not everybody was privy to Bitcoin in the beginning, but there are some people that are like, man, I only put a little bit of money in, or I didn't take it seriously, and they missed out on becoming a millionaire or whatever. Don't miss your opportunity. Don't miss your opportunity. And if you do, don't come complaining, because I'm not going to have sympathy. I literally spend hours of my time talking to you folks, trying to get you motivated. I'm already here. You know what I mean? I've already successfully made my exit and set myself up here in Ghana. So, you know, I don't want to hear it, basically. I moved here with no, you know, no resources. I had to work, hustle, start a business to do it. No family with me, no husband with me, you know, nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really hear all these stories of people like, oh, what, I got this and I got that. I can't accept that. Because if I look at all the reasons that I shouldn't have also been able to achieve it, I got every reason in the book. I had a lot of setbacks, you know what I mean? But I just refused. I was relentless. And that's why I was able to ultimately make this transition. And I'm living very good, much better as a result. Okay, family, big shout out to you guys. Please, 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 last call for alcohol. Make sure you get your votes in. I'm wrapping up the video now. So if you want to vote right afterwards, just click this link. It will take you directly to where you can vote for our award. We're currently in the #1 position. I did post on the community tab on Friday. We're in the #1, but this can definitely change at any minute. You know what I mean? I'm up against 5 other people in my category. So, you know, let's make sure we keep the lead, you know, as far ahead as we can. The votes are inexpensive. So big shout outs to Michelle. She sent $20 worth of votes. I'm going to go ahead and get those in now. So big shout outs to the African Superstar family. Until we meet again, stay black and true. If you ain't black, just stay true.